Boy, we had lots of interest in this, Mike, but I think everybody coming out of a long weekend on a Tuesday had some stuff to deal with and events to plan and that sort of thing. But lots of people asked if this was going to be recorded. So as promised, Awardify is an event platform that a growing number of chambers are using, and there was some suggestion that we have Mike on to talk about the platform and what's involved. So I want to introduce Mike Ruten. He's the Ontario Accounts Manager for Awardify. And Mike, it's as formal as that. Over to you to share your screen and give us some insight into what Awardify is all about.
Perfect. Thanks, Stu. Appreciate the opportunity. And there are a few familiar faces and names here that are already on the platform. So yeah, great to see you. I think we have, I was kind of looking at this as I came in, but Kelly at Upper Ottawa Valley, Aurelia, Leamington, I saw Melanie at Halton Hills, Kingston. Those are the ones that kind of came to mind as I saw them come in. So yeah, those are already users of Awardify. I probably missed some, but yeah, thank you so much for your business there. And yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to just kind of share what we do to the larger chamber executive community with the platform. I'm going to keep my demo pretty brief, but you know, and I'm not sure. I think it's a 10 minutes, so I kind of have a plan for that. But if there's time for questions, I'm happy to do that as well afterwards. But yeah, I will share my screen here briefly, but just as a quick background why a video production company has awards management software. So our company is Aspen Films, and we've been around for more than 10 years. And a number of years ago, started getting more and more award show video jobs. So, you know, producing the finals videos and the different things that are played at the gala events. And that got us kind of thinking about awards management software. And sort of long story short, we partnered with Awardify, which already exists, and purchased the platform, and now it's kind of part of our broader offering. And yeah, and it's been going quite well. Awardify as a platform has been around for about 8 or 9 years, and serves for awards events. The two primary users, although there's quite a range of different awards events that use it, but the two primary ones would be chambers of commerce or boards of trade, and then the other would be industry associations, especially home builder associations is quite common as well. I'll share my screen here. One second. There's 4 main components to Awardify, and so I'll just give a quick rundown of the 4. So can you guys, is that working?
Yep.
You've got the Kingston Business Awards here. Perfect. Yeah. So this is so that was timely that you mentioned there that the Kingston Awards just happened. So I wanted to grab one that was live. So the 4 main components, and I'll go through them each one at a time, but are the public facing, the admin, which is the back, you know, the background of it all, where you as the organizers work, the entrant area where the businesses or the individuals actually apply for awards, and then the judging area where the judging happens. So I thought I'd just grab a real live public facing one. So this is from Kingston, which, as mentioned, was just happened. And so on the public facing side, you give kind of general information. I think looks like I'm on the Meet the Judges page here. Obviously you can have, you know, information about the awards themselves, like a gallery of past winners. There's options to sell tickets. I know most of you probably use your CRM for that, but that is an option as well. Information the event itself, date, time, and so on. I grabbed one that hasn't happened yet, just show the nominations. So this is Sarnia Lambton. And so another big part of the public facing side is the nomination piece. And so this is where the nominations are happening for Sarnia Lambton. And so it's just a web form with as much information or as little as you want. You know, you can customize all this however you want to create your nomination form. But that's the other main part of the public facing side. I'll jump over to the admin here. So this is the back end of the platform. So this is you as the administrators, the organizers are going to see this. And there's a lot of different components and functionality, and we're always adding new ones as needs arise. But just as kind of a starting point, I guess I'll show maybe how you develop the awards themselves. So this one is from Barrie Chamber. So you're going to see it's a demo account, but it's from the Barrie side that you're going to see some sort of Barrie language here. But here's the categories. And so we'll just click on entrepreneur here, and you can see this is where you would create that. So you title it, you give a bit of a description here. You can assign the judges to the category, and then a bit of a requirement piece. And then on the fields area, this is really kind of the bulk of it, the main component. This is the different fields of submission. So for example, company story, which is a text box. You know, if you scroll down here, a letter of reference, which is a file upload, and really there's any number of different things you can have, and as many of them as you want for your submissions. So text box is the most common probably, but yeah, file uploads, you can see image uploads, logos. You can do like drop down, like a multiple choice type thing. You can do like a yes, no, tick boxes, really anything you want that gets the information you're looking for the award submission. And I'll jump over to show what it looks like as an entrant. So the entrant upon nomination would typically receive a welcome, like a congratulatory email, you know, saying congratulations, you've been nominated for such and such award, and you know, click here to go and submit. And then they would create an account, which is just a simple login, like an email password that we're all used to on many websites. And then they would go into the category. So let's pick a category here and just name it something. And then they can start their submission. So this is, again, this is what the business owner or the person who's been nominated for award is going to see once they go into their submission. So this is that kind of overview with some eligibility requirements. And then here's the actual submission. So you can see this is a text box where they can just type right in and save this at any time, come back, pick up where they left off. Maybe they didn't realize they needed a letter of reference or something. So, you know, it's all being saved. They just log back in and work on it until they're completed, and then they can send it off to the judges for the judging. And I will jump in as a judge here so you can see that view really quick. Oops. I think some of you have probably been a judge before, because I know often that's how it seems to work in the chamber world. So some of this might be familiar to you. So yeah, we'll just pick the first thing the judge is going to see when they come in is the dashboard of the categories that have been assigned to them. So if you remember when I was showing the admin part of setting up a category, you could assign various judges. You can also do that when you add the judge, either side. But they would see a dashboard of kind of their progress in their judging. So this one's been completed, but we'll just jump into this one here, entrepreneur. And then I'll show you kind of how this judging goes down. So there's sort of a further dashboard when you come in, showing the submissions and the various scores. And then you can see one that hasn't been done. So we'll just grab this one. So now you're going to see these categories, you know, the text box, the various pieces, letter of reference, image upload, and so on, whatever was set as the fields for the judging. And then the judge is going to be going down and scoring this as they go. So they can use this easy slider tool as they look at the content and the submission and kind of come up with a score. There's some options for comments for the entrant, comments for admin. They can recuse themselves if it's a conflict of interest, and then they can save it and move on to the next one. So just as easy as that. I'm going to jump to a little piece on the admin here. So I know our experience in both doing award videos and kind of working in awards management software is that award show submission type stuff tends to be very last minute. And so as the organizer, we've got this dashboard where you can kind of see the progress of everybody and maybe give reminders when needed. So I just have a category open here. And this was created after completion. So all these are showing completed, if you see that there on the various submissions. But you would see if they were incomplete or completed, so you would know. There's a functionality called Messenger where you could set up automated emails to say, for example, let's say 2 weeks from submission deadline, if somebody started their submission but hasn't completed it, they could get an automated email saying, just a friendly reminder, the deadline is in 2 weeks for the award that you're applying for. So there's automated functionality, and then there's direct messaging as well. You can email through the platform as you see things that you may want to remind somebody, or maybe you see something in their submission that needs some attention or whatever. So but this gives you the rundown of where all the submissions are at, and this will be for every category. This one had a lot of entries, but if you keep going down, you'll see the other categories here. I can open those up, and then there also is a chance to see the judging. So go back up to the top. So here's all the judges that were assigned to this particular category. And then you can see what their scoring was and if they have judged. So you can see some people in this one haven't judged yet. So maybe they need a bit of a nudge reminder to say, it'd be good to get going on that. So that puts me at 10 minutes. I will stop there. And Stu, I don't know if there's some time for questions or whatever, but
yeah, for sure. Yeah, hands up. Anybody who wants to jump in, because I'm now looking at 2 pages of participants, so I'll try to keep track. Kelly, go ahead.
Thanks, Stu. Thanks, Mike. I just wanted to make a comment because we use Awardify. So this is my endorsement of the product. It was Halton Hills, Melanie, that had put out a call for judges last year, and I was exposed to Awardify through that judging process and loved it and brought it to my board, pitched it for our awards with the angle that although it isn't, it's an investment, it can be expensive for some smaller chambers like ours. Built into the ticket price for our awards gala, it works out to $10 or $12 a person, right? So it's easy to sell it that way. And so I'm just opening it up to the group. I'll put my email address in the chat. We are doing our judging will be starting this summer. If anybody would like to test drive and be a judge for our chamber awards, I would really appreciate some help. Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly. I'd see Rory and then Debbie and then Karen, but just in case anyone is, too shy to ask, what is the pricing model, Mike? Is it based on the size of chamber or sort of the level of the app that you utilize, or what can you say about pricing?
Yeah, great question. I'll actually just quickly share my screen again, and you can go here yourself as well. So this is awardify.com, and there's more information, more details about it. But for the first year only, there's a setup fee, which is the $379 to get you on board, and then the annual subscription is $1979. Okay. And so for your first year, these two prices, it's the combination of those two, so about $2,400, a little less, and then every subsequent year it's just the subscription. So that is the base pricing.
Perfect.
And, I think.
Okay, thank you. All right, Rory and then Deb.
Yeah, hey, Mike, how you doing? Thanks for joining the crew today, and hey to everybody. We used Awardify for the first time this year, and it might be a bit of a sticker shock to you on the price, but if you consider the amount of time you spend managing your volunteers and managing files, it really comes down to pennies per hour, really. And the other thing that it does and allowed us to do is actually get a more uniform judging response, because no matter how many instructions you give your volunteers, you get 12 different answers for 12 volunteers. So if you go and start to normalize all the scoring, that again is another huge consumer of time. We found our volunteers really appreciated the judging side of things on how uniform it made it and how easy it was. And also there was a little bit of an onboarding just getting used to the nominees putting in information, but it's pretty straightforward. And the amount of stick handling we had to do, and we do 20, 20, 21, 22 awards. And the amount of stick handling is greatly reduced. And the amount of copying material or PDFing or converting to get to your judging committees as well is a challenge. And then Mike, maybe you can just clarify that because it's an annual subscription model, you can use Awardify for any number of events that you have as long as they don't overlap in terms of timing, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So there's a few chambers that have some like 2 events. For example, actually the sample there was from Barrie, and that was actually their women business awards event. And then they have more the broader business awards, and they use one subscription for both because they're different times of the year.
Cool. Okay. I'm seeing Karen from Kingston and then David.
Hi, thank you, Stu, and thank you, Mike, for the presentation. Just a couple of comments from Kingston as we've just gone through the process, and we had a couple of challenges, and we're just wondering when, if there's a plan for an upgrade to the platform, Mike, for the website piece of it. We struggled to have it look and feel the way we wanted it to look and feel to match our own website. So we had some struggles there, and we had a few challenges with our some of our judging too. There were some sticky points during some of that as well. So we're just wondering if there's any opportunity that there be some upgrades made to the platform, because I know it's an older platform.
Yeah, great question. We're definitely I feel like we're always doing updates because there's just always more and more things that come up from doing demos and kind of learning what the needs are. So as far as ongoing updates, yeah, it's just really an ongoing thing. I will look into the website piece specifically. That's first I've heard of that probably was relayed to Luke, who's our head onboarder. But I'll mention that to him about the website, that there were some concerns about the look. So I will, yeah, I can get back to you on that, but I don't have a specific update on that one. As far as the judging, I don't know what the specifics were for that, but yeah, we just always welcome feedback, and we're always working to make it better, and try to have our tech support available, for a very quick turnaround if there is some glitch that needs some attention. So
yeah, I think just to add on to that, to the website piece of it, one of the challenges for us happened because there was work being done on the website, so the website was down during our live sale period, so people weren't able to go on and buy tickets because it was down during the period that we were live for our not live for our show, but we were leading up to our show. There was work being done on the website, so it brought it down, which we weren't aware of. So there's some hiccups along that line that would need to be ironed out, so we don't have any missed opportunities when it comes to sales.
Yeah, there was, like, we needed to, and this is kind of getting out of my expertise because I'm not the tech guy, but I know it had to be migrated to a new system to handle the growth. And that happened, I know, sometime in the last few weeks. So I'm sure that's what it was. So that would have been a one-time thing that was, to make it better long-term. That shouldn't happen anytime soon. So if ever again, because I know we upgraded substantially when we did that. So.
Thanks, Karen. David, and then Lindsay.
A quick note that all the good things that were good and challenging things, we experienced the same, including the events coordinator that I have is technologically unskilled and but loved the ability, judged. I think I forget actually who she helped to judge, but she helped one of our colleagues judge theirs using the Awardify platform, and then was like gung-ho right away, and certainly joined, connected with Mike and got scaled up right away. So there's an ease of integration for those that might be worried about the tech, and our volunteers were great with using it as well. So a thumbs up and a positive vote on my end, especially if you're technologically not inclined to do something. It certainly everything that Rory said in terms of saving dollar value was definitely our experience as well.
Lindsay, and then Paul.
So my question did have to do with the website piece of it, because we currently have a Squarespace website for our Excellence Awards, and then it does connect to our main website for the ticket sales portion. But just in terms of the capability of the Awardify website. So if we switched from a Squarespace website, can we make it have the same look and feel? Can we upload all of the past years of our finalist videos and this year's, and have all that opportunity for sponsor recognition that we currently have?
Yeah, I mean, without knowing all the details of your website, like there would be we're not building, I guess, to clarify on the website front, typically what people do is they have it as a subdomain or like kind of a link to their existing website, right? It's not meant to replace necessarily your primary website, and it's not building a new website from scratch, because that's obviously another whole thing that's different than this, but it's a templated website that can be customized with colors, images, certainly like sponsor recognition. You can have different tabs on or off if you need it, like for example, if you're selling tickets through it or not, those types of things. So there's, yeah, it's not building a new website from scratch. I just want to be clear about that, but it is a template that's customizable. And yeah, any feedback that that you would have where you think if we had something like this, that would be really helpful. We're just really open for suggestions, and are, like I said, we're kind of constantly working to improve it to meet the needs. So yeah, if there was something more specific where you wanted to share a website and say, is this possible, then we could definitely address that and do our best to make that work.
Okay. Yeah. So our Squarespace website is just specifically for our awards. It's not our chamber. It's not our chamber
Okay.
website. So it has most of the same tabs as you would have on the Awardify. It would seem, it would just whether we would need to keep that and just link to certain components of the Awardify thing, or whether it would be replaced with the Awardify, and if we could make it look like that. So, okay.
Yeah, and to clarify that too, not everybody uses the public facing piece because they already had something built out in their existing website, and then it just links to the platform for all the backend stuff and the entrance and the judging and everything, which
Okay.
is the main
Yep.
part of it. So yeah, it's not like you have to have our website. There's ways around that if you want.
Okay. Thank you.
Paul?
Hi, sorry, I was late and I'm in the middle of an audit. Hi, Mike, nice to see you again. I just wanted to sort of just provide some insight from my standpoint. We've been using Awardify for many, many years. Actually got it through a connection with the home builders. So if you see what the home builders do with the software, it gives you a different perspective on some additional capabilities. Like if you do like a home show or things along those lines, there's a lot of things you can do with the application that are kind of neat. Last year, we actually used Aspen Films along with the Awardify to do the filming component of it. And Mike was good enough to bring some pricing down and work with us to get that to work. It's a great platform. There's lots you can do with it. We don't use the front-facing stuff. We basically just link it into our Chamber Master side, and it works very, very effectively that way. And I haven't even looked at the other stuff, to be honest with you, just because the Chamber Master stuff is so easy to work with from a sponsor standpoint, et cetera. If you're not using Chamber Master, then certainly look at it. But Luke is a wizard. I mean, he built out the platform, so any problems you're having, just give him a call. He's very responsive, and he can generally find you a workaround. And for those technologically less inclined, again, it's one of those things where even if you onboard somebody that has a few skills, once you get it up and going, it's pretty simple to actually utilize. So anyways, that's it. I just wanted to provide some feedback and support for the platform. It certainly works for us.
Perfect.
Cool.
And before you head off, Mike, I just had a question around video production. All of us have figured out some way of profiling our recipients, and some it's full on pay someone to shoot and edit the video. Others it's engage with the community college. Some of us it's one of our kids. But I'm assuming that there's some flexibility around getting you involved when it comes to the video component. If we were to, for example, have footage shot by a community college or a class or something like that, can you just edit the video into the final presentation? Because that seems to be the big step for a lot of us. How flexible are you when it comes to getting video production involved?
Yeah, great question. Definitely very flexible as far as we often do just editing projects if need be. There are obviously challenges with that depending on what what kind of footage quality there is. You can only do so much. We understand that budgets are tight, and a lot of things have gone up in around the event, like food and venues and so on. So I try to make that work. So yeah, we're definitely flexible to do editing, to do the filming. One thing that we've done a fair amount with the home builders, it's a little less common on the chamber side, is like we kind of make the videos right out of Awardify itself, because all the content for the video is already there. Like, if you think about all the photos as part of the submission, then we can take those photos and put them to music, put a voiceover on it, bit of an intro, outro, goes whatever, sponsor recognition, whatever might need it to be, but all of that can come straight out of Awardify. And so there's a lot of efficiencies with that, and we're working to find a solution, and we're very close, like it's kind of like a very say budget option. Like our typical work is more like we come and film, and like what we did for Barry was like film at different businesses and put together short videos for all the finalists. But if someone say had a lower budget but still wanted something that looked professional for their awards event, we're developing right now a means. I mean, we're already doing it, but we're improving it is probably the best way to put it, where the content comes right out of Awardify and we make videos out of that. So even if you were to go that route, which would be a lot cheaper than more of a conventional video route, you could build your award solutions around that idea. For example, like if you want 4 photos, then say get 4 photos and a logo or whatever the number might be. Even say the write-up, if there was a voiceover doing a bit of a little brief overview of the company, you could have that as part of your award submission. Write a 75-word description of your business that will be used for your video. And then because that's often a challenge, is running after these scripts, or sometimes the chamber ends up having to like kind of make them up themselves, and it just becomes a sticking point in the videos. And so there's definitely some synergies there available already, and we're working to improve it around Awardify and videos, but even videos standing alone, to answer your initial question, yeah, lots of flexibility. And with pricing too, as Paul mentioned, where we combine service can lower the price.
Awesome. All right, Mike, thanks. If you want to drop your contact information in chat before you head off, you're welcome to stay, but it's up to you if you want to carry on with your day. Appreciate it, and thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. I will do that right now.
Okay. So what's happening? What's going on? What'd you do this weekend? What's happening in your chamber? What's keeping you up at night? Tell us about some wins, some issues, some registration anemia. We were talking about that before all of you joined, with having trouble getting people to sign up for events and that sort of thing. So I think we're all sort of emerging from COVID with a little bit of uncertainty. Paul, what's happening?
Well, I sort of stuck my head in the lion's mouth and approved and supported a City of Barrie motion on homelessness with a levered approach that we're getting a little beat up on, but quite honestly, no one's actually referenced the actual motion to look at what we supported, which is basically a balanced approach to applying municipal dollars and then seeking help from the county and the province to address the homeless issue and addictions, etc. So if you're interested, just Google Barrie and homelessness, and you'll get an earful or an eyeful of what we've been dealing with. But I know this is a concern in every community. I don't think that what the city of Barrie has done is an attack on homelessness. I think it's a practical approach to trying to address it. And it is a motion at the moment. It still needs to be ratified and discussed and consulted on. So have a look at it. I'd be interested in support commentary. And again, you know, in my conversations with our mayor, Sudbury, the Sioux, there's a lot of different chambers that were or cities that were referenced in our discussions about actions they've taken. So anyways, it's been an exciting week, that along with my audit, which is always like sticking a spoon in my neck. So.
I love the analogies. So speaking of the lion's mouth, who's the lion? Are you getting barbecued by the public or by the business community?
Well, to be honest with you, the business community has been relatively quiet on it. It hasn't really been any negative. We're getting beat up by a former Ward 2 councillor and a few of the groups that, you know, purport to support homelessness. But, you know, in the last 2 councils haven't done anything to action it. So CBC picked it up, but they're only picking up this Ward 2 councillors. Yeah, he was on 1010 today, Melanie, and he's an asshat, but whatever. They're only picking up the sound bites. So unfortunately, hopefully we'll be able to get our messaging out.
Paul, they didn't have that in his bio when they introduced him.
Asshat, you just have to talk to him. Yeah.
Maybe
this guy wanted to defund the police to the point where, like, we didn't have a police force. He just didn't think it was necessary.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes you just have to sort of let your supporters figure it out, right? You know,
yeah.
I'm sure that you're not the only people who realize that he's an asshat, but maybe Melanie put a link in so we can all have a look if there's interest or you know, something comparable in your community. And then there's some suggestions coming in. Thank you, Amanda. Lindsay, what's going on? Lindsay Hendricks, sorry, Lindsay Walker.
Oh yeah, there's 2 Lindsay. I'm up. So I have an issue with my municipality. They are hosting a golf tournament for the mayor. Their tournament this year is a month after ours. However, when we first put out our save the date, they put out a save the date the next day, and it was 5 days before our golf tournament. They changed their date this year. However, I contacted the golf course to talk about next year, and they let me know that they chose the original May date again. So they would be going 5 days ahead of the chamber for the next year. It's kind of sneaky because I thought that they understood that we're going after the same businesses, that we're approaching the same sponsors, and that they were supporting the chamber and taking a step back. How would you handle this? Any advice would be greatly appreciated, because I don't think I'm supposed to know that they've already have a save the date for next year, but they have clearly chosen it to take our legs out from under us. So I'm just looking for feedback. If you need to think on it, send me an email on how to approach it. I do have a meeting with the mayor in July to talk about this issue with our outgoing president and our incoming president, but I don't want to be dealing with the same issues every year over a golf tournament. She shouldn't even have a golf tournament. And we support the business community as well as charitable organizations for our fundraiser golf tournament. So I'm just looking for, support and advice.
So
Lindsay, can you move your date?
I could, but we've been hosting this golf tournament for like 19 years, and it's always been the end of May. And there's a golf wars going around in our very small community. There's other nonprofit organizations. I would love to get out of the golf wars if I can, but it's such an important part of our operational budget in order for, you know, the chamber to survive and what we need to do. I could, but I think we would just be impacted by other organizations that have their golf tournaments taking place.
So our mayor used to have a golf tournament, our current one doesn't. Does her golf tournament support a charity?
Yeah.
Yeah, you and I chatted about this before. You're in a sticky, it's just, I'm not sure it's a fight that you're gonna win. So it may be worth moving and letting people know ahead of time with enough runway that you get your regular people attending.
Yeah.
Sucks.
I know Lindsay shared on the CEO Facebook group, and if you're not part of that, I'll post a link here in chat shortly. That there's a bit of a bigger, broader issue, Lindsay. I think it's fair to say around the
Small
municipalities.
town politics, yes, there is.
Yeah, well, and they're kind of swimming in your pool on a number of levels, right? With having events, the golf tournament is just one thing. I know that you posted about being
Now
a
they're
little bit.
hosting networking town halls at
Yeah.
member locations, and it's all that fun stuff.
Yeah, and it sometimes just sort of involves the personality of the person who happens to be in the municipal department at the time. But does anyone have any thoughts on sort of the broader issue of competing with your municipality as opposed to partnering with them? I'm sure that most of you have experienced it on one level, so anybody can just jump in.
Sure, I just fired a comment in the chat here, though. I mean, this is the whole debate around the use of public funds, right? I mean, do we want our municipality using taxpayers' dollars to run a golf tournament? Or if you even take a look at our competitive landscape, is you have a lot of government-based organizations that are doing workshops and training and this, that, the other thing, right? So again, using taxpayers' money. So it's a real interesting argument. We don't do a golf tournament anymore just because when you add up the numbers, yeah, you might put 20 grand in the bank, but you probably put 250 hours into it. It really, at the end of the day, I think is a losing proposition and just decision. I know you've done it forever and everybody's done it forever, but maybe it's time to go back and actually do the math and understand the number of hours that you put in and see whether or not it actually really does yield. And it may be just one of those things where you make the decision, you do your 20th one and call it the end. Finish it up and focus in on some other areas that, it's a challenge for sure. But it's been done before where people exit out because there's just, like you say, too many golf wars going on and it's a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
I love golf wars. We did that with our gala in Peterborough. Because the mayor started a gala and kind of kicked our ass, and so we killed a 125-year-old event, and it was the best thing we ever did. We came up with the Power Hour, far more relevant, far more impactful. All four politicians on the stage answering questions from the audience, and it was just a much better event and way simpler than putting on a gala. Sherry.
I just going back to the golf thing. I canceled the chamber here, the Madoc Chambers golf tournament after so many years as well. It was just not working with the municipality. They weren't working with us. They were actually going against us, as similar to what Lindsay is experiencing. So what we did is we canceled it and turned around, and we're kicking off our first outdoor show here in 3 weeks. So we just did a swing and did a different change, something that's never been to our community or our area. And we just been putting it in, kicking it up into high gear. So sometimes when you close one door, another one opens, and it just depends on what you do and how you do it.
Chris, we were talking about this morning, right? The golf tournament. There's a mayor's golf tournament here, but you guys don't do one, right? Newmarket Chamber?
No, we'll take out a foursome. That's it. But I know our neighbors, I guess they're asked to participate and help, put it on. But no, we stopped doing a golf tournament a number of years ago as well, and partly because it's we also were trying to make sure that our events are diverse, and maybe you don't capture the same diversity in golf tournaments as well. And so we've kind of put that lens to a lot of the things we've done historically as well.
Interesting. That's another angle.
I just wanted to say, like, Lindsay, when you called the town and told them that they're competing with you at these events and their networking thing, what do they say? Like, what do they come back to you with?
So our economic development office, the director there told me that they need to make moves and they don't think about the chamber, and they don't need to think about the chamber. And as for the golf tournament, it's been done in other cities, other towns, so it doesn't have that effect in the competition. I don't know. They're trying to justify by seeing it done in other places. So
Yeah,
They don't give up. They don't
we have
care.
a golf tournament here, and we're lucky that we only have to typically compete with our Rotary clubs, which, you know, I can just tell them, save the date, this is when I'm having mine, and we don't seem to have that tension, but as far as the economic development, I think that's pretty shameless, them saying that to you. Like, you are the driver of economic vitality in your community. And I don't think their members would be very, very impressed to know that they're competing directly against their chosen organization for business in your area. I think that's something newsworthy for sure, right? Like,
I think so, but you know what? I don't want to burn any bridges. I'm being very cautious on what's being said and how it's being said. But I do have a lot of membership support. So we are sold out for our tournament at 136, which is fantastic. And I do have that membership support saying what is going on. We're getting communications about this tournament and that tournament and every other tournament under the sun with the nonprofit world. But yeah, I do have membership support. I just need them to be a little bit louder and be the drivers to make that change, because I don't think they're going to be backing down anytime soon. The tournament is coming out of the mayor's office, so it's not using staff time is what they're saying, but it's still driven by or organized by the mayor's assistant, who gets funded by taxpayers. Like, I don't know. So I don't know who believes this shit, but people do.
It sounds like you're kind of winning if you're sold out. You know, that's I mean, if they were really hurting your tournament, but I don't know, maybe people do recognize what's going on and they're supporting you by
which is
signing
why I
up.
was surprised to see that they are now going to be ahead of us for the tournament for next year. So
Yeah.
I just don't want to play this game every year.
Yeah.
Call up the venue and go 5 days ahead of them now.
Maybe.
Just for shits and giggles, do it just for fun.
Just fun. Anyway, thanks for listening, everyone.
Not at all. Anyone for February golf? All right. What else? What's happening?
In Mexico, Stu, then you would sell out.
Right. Yeah. Jackie.
Hi, just going in another direction here. I'm just wondering about audits, annual financial audits. We're incorporated under the Board of Trade Act, and our bylaws, which we just updated last year, do call for an annual audit, which we've not done historically. We typically do a review engagement. And so I'm just wondering, other chambers who are also governed under the Board of Trade Act, if everyone does an audit every year, because I hear that they can be quite pricey, or if there's different levels of things that we can do to be compliant.
Lots going on here, so jump in. Just unmute. It doesn't have to be a hand up or anything.
Here at the Lincoln Chamber, we do a full audit. It's not required, but it's beneficial. We've been getting a great discount from DJB for a number of years, and they're a great partner to work with. Yeah, and our board appreciates it. So we do a full audit.
Yeah, we've got audit as well, done every year. We went to an RFP for the bookkeeping and for the audit. So we've separated the two out. And then both of those parties recognize the value of the chamber. So BDO does our audit for $2,600. Like, it's a hell of a deal.
Wow. So
yeah, but they're very closely, tied to the chamber and support the chamber. So pull that card, because it can be very, very expensive. But you need a partner like that who will do it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me that if your bylaws call for an audit, change the bylaws to say audit or review engagement. Does that work, or am I wrong?
But it's under the Board of Trade Act, right? So if you change that, you've got to send your bylaws to Industry Canada for them to review. So they make it bounce back, right?
Part 1 or part 2.
Yeah.
If you're one or the other. Lindsay would know the answer to this as to, which one requires approval of your bylaw changes. But anyway, just giving you some other options, Jackie, to look at. Any other thoughts on that? All right. What else is happening? Terry, what's going on in Burlington?
Oh, just busy night. We've got our gala tonight, 450 people, so we're quite excited.
Nice.
And so I was kind of working on a couple other things, but no, we're looking at moving over to Awardify as well. So getting it out of the hands of volunteer committees that ran the event all by themselves and getting a more consistent, and having taken part in what Melanie did in Halton Hills, it makes a lot of sense. And what Kingston's doing, looking forward to streamlining the process.
Okay. And just to give you all a heads up, including Terry, Terry, I'm going to ask you to attend one of our future Talk Tuesdays to talk about the pension plan structure that you brought to Burlington, because I think there would be a lot of interest in that. So you didn't know about this, but I'm going to ask you to flag one of the future dates sometime this year.
No, a great staff retention to create a GRSP program for chamber staff.
Yeah. Brilliant. Okay.
At no charge to the chamber.
Don't say too much. We're just teasing right now. Maybe we'll set aside June. So Melanie, go ahead.
Sure, just two questions, or first a note. So I've been with Awardify for a few years, and I will say, and Karen, I think you kind of found this, they are great, and so I don't want anyone thinking going in that there aren't still bugs with the program, because there are quite a few. I've had meetings with Mike on that, and they're doing their best, but it's not as turnkey as you would hope, I think. So just be prepared for some staff time on that. It still eliminates a ton of staff time in the process, and it equalizes the judging and allows you to take it so that it's not just people sitting around a table saying, oh, I think Chris is great, he should be Entrepreneur of the Year. So I loved it for that, and it professionalized it for us. But I just want to make sure everyone goes in with total eyes open on that, and feel free to reach out to me on that, because we've used them 3 times now. The other question I had, Stu, is this. So as you know, you and I talked about this last week. So we're very limited for event space in Halton Hills proper. So we are surrounded by large municipalities. I've got all within a 10-minute drive. I've got Milton, Brampton, Mississauga. And so has anyone that faces those challenges had events in spaces that aren't in your municipality? So Terry, for example, I could easily get 400 people to an event, but I don't have the space. So our largest space accommodates about 180 people. So has anyone ever dealt with that, and how did you justify it if it's not in your proper municipality?
I'm happy to speak to
jump. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Chris.
I was just saying, we actually have quite a few outside of our, I mean, we've had our mayor's lunch historically outside of, because our highest, despite our large population, about 95,000, our biggest venue holds 120 people. So, I get jealous of when I hear, some of the big events in our neighboring councils. I just reach out to our neighboring chambers, make sure they know, and they understand the predicament we're in. I mean, we're only 15 square miles. One thing we did this year successfully, we've got a beautiful theater in town that seats 400 people. And instead of going to a golf course out of town where we could have 300-400 people at our business awards, we actually put up a big tent right beside the theater. And instead of having a sit down dinner, did a wine and cheese kind of with heavy hors d'oeuvres. And while people weren't sitting down for dinner, it actually was one of our most popular events. So we're trying to find ways to do events different, but we still find ourselves outside of our borders frequently, probably about 3-4 events a year. But we have great relationships with our neighboring chambers, and they understand the challenge we're in. And we also look at it as an opportunity to actually partner now on some events as well. I've got an event in 2 days in Vaughan, actually, because it's just cannot handle it in our community.
Are they membership opportunities? Like, do you have them? Do they?
So
they
in
need
York
to be a
region,
member?
what we have in York region too is we have a shared membership. So if you're a member of one chamber, you can go to other chambers events for either the member price or reduced rate. But also, for instance, the event we have on Thursday, we pitched it with other chambers that if they want to buy, if they sell tickets to it, we'll actually let them capture the profit. And so then it's us all kind of collaborating and trying to share in some revenue opportunities as well.
Okay, Terry, did you have something on that?
Yeah, just on the other side of that, Hamilton wanted to do an event at a venue in Burlington, and as long as you get the heads up, it's about communication, and it led to us doing more joint things together. I don't see any issue as long as you communicate and don't surprise the other chambers.
Okay. All right. Anyone else? Issues, honors, celebrations, problems? Who's new? Jan? Jan, welcome to the call. Tell us about yourself.
Oh, I thought I was muted. I've been with this chamber less than a year.
Which chamber?
I'm at the Gananoque Chamber, Thousand Islands.
Great.
Much different than my previous chamber. Very, very difficult community to get anybody involved to do anything at all. Biggest question is, what are you going to do for me? So we've told them, we've shown them, we put on all kinds of events. You know that old saying, you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. We are drowning in debt and running out of ideas.
Wow.
So how's that for waking everybody up?
That's, yep. That's an attention getter. I would suggest, just because of the time of this meeting, that you put something. I posted a link earlier in chat to our Facebook group, so I'm not sure if you're already connected.
Yeah.
But there's pretty good. Okay, well then I would put something in there and just kind of flesh that out a little bit. Just kind of tell us what's going on. It's a safe space to have this conversation because it's, you know, it's just chamber people. But yeah, I would certainly encourage you to reach out a little bit. We may have done that. I'm actually remembering now that we did. Did we post something for you around engagement, or was that just? I think that might have been just an email exchange between you and Keenan and I, if my memory is slowly coming back to me. But yeah, I would reach out. I just don't know if we have the time to give it, you know, a proper airing right now. Any quick thoughts for Jan from anybody?
I'm curious how many members you have and what the population is there and how many businesses there are there. Do you have those three data sets?
Well, the town is very small, under 5,000. When I came on, the chamber board was under the impression that there were about 300 members. But upon review, I came to find out that not the previous ED, he was only here a couple of months, but the one before that had brought on all kinds of new members, but hadn't charged anybody, led them all to believe they were free memberships through COVID. So when I went to them asking for their payments, they very quickly dropped their chamber memberships. So we now have about 190 and trying to make that grow. By doing all kinds of different things, from free events and free advertising, promotions, stuff like that, but it's a hard go.
Yeah, I would echo what Melanie's saying. 190 in a 5,000 person town is a lot. So yeah, you might have more engagement than you think. I don't know what kind of system you use, but surveying your members, or if you have a Canada Summer Jobs student, tasking them as a neutral body to go out and survey some members, find out what they like about what you do, what they don't like, what their overall impression is of you. You might, you know, and again, I don't know what your finances are like, but looking at a strategic brand planning deep dive operation, we did it, and it was really beneficial to us strategically for how to answer some of those questions. So
Yeah,
Probably
that would be great. I would like to do a strategic plan. Right now, we have absolutely no money. I did hire a student. Well, she's coming for her interview today, but I'm pretty sure I'm hiring her. The plan for her is I'm going to take her to every individual business that we have to do videos, pictures and stuff, and then make them into reels that I can put out throughout the year so that our members are constantly getting attention on our social media platforms.
Wow. Make sure you tag them when you do post them.
Mhm.
Hey, Jan, quick question too. So I know sometimes it can be hard when you've gone from a high performing to something that's maybe not meeting your expectations. But I'm wondering if the chamber is actually meeting expectations of its members. You're just not able to see it because you're wanting more, right? Because you're high performing and probably being a little too hard on yourself. So I think to Leslie's point, if you ask people what they value with what the chamber does, then you can focus your efforts there and maybe see some more engagement. And then from that, you can build and grow. But 190 people in a 5,000 person town that's a lot.
Oh. Okay, well, there might be 190 members, but there's not 190 people engaged.
Well,
If we hold an event, I might get 20 people at it.
But how are you measuring engagement? Is it just attendance at events, or is it your open rate on your newsletters? Like, so maybe those are the questions you need to ask yourself, because you might be seeing engagement that's not right in front of your face at an event.
Okay.
Yeah, like I only get 10% out of my membership to events except for my big ones. And that's with 500 members. So that's about on par, 10%, right, for you?
I would say to be careful what you wish for, because I have very high engagement, but that doesn't mean that I have any more money or any more staff to do all of the work for all of the engagement. So it comes with a different set of challenges as well. So that's what I would say about that. I see Stu laughing, but
That's funny.
we talked about this a little bit. I have very high engagement, and it's like more than I can handle, but they're engaged, so yay. But it doesn't mean I'm making any more money or have any more staff to put on events or to answer the expectations, which means I anticipate a drop off, whether that's of membership or of engagement in the next like 18 months. That's what I expect coming. And you also have the challenge of coming out of COVID, leadership turnover, community disruption. So give it some time. If you've been there less than a year, I would give yourself 3 to 5 years, but see what happens.
Yeah. Amanda's got her hand up, but I'll just say, Jan, thank you for sharing. I think drowning in debt was sort of a broad topic for us to tackle, but at the same time, I think we got somewhere with a few ideas, if nothing else, sort of providing a little bit more perspective, which is very difficult to have perspective when you're on your own in your office drowning in debt. So even just sharing here is, I'm hoping, helpful, because it gives you perspective from other chambers. But don't be afraid to tune in next month and perhaps with some specific things, or on the Facebook group post some specific questions around what would you do with the following scenario, that sort of thing, because that's why we're here, is to help each other through this stuff. What happened to Amanda? She had her hand up and now she's not. Oh, there you are, Amanda. You still
Hi,
with
yes,
us?
I'm still here. Yes, I am. So thank you for inviting me to your meetings. I'm really excited to listen and engage. So the Bracebridge Chamber is very successful in bringing in some passive revenue. So one of my suggestions would be to shadow with a small town chamber ED. I'm new, but I know that Nora is very successful. She's in Gravenhurst in membership engagement and building revenue. So maybe even shadowing with another ED and getting some ideas on your strategic plan moving forward. I know that's what we're doing at the Bracebridge Chamber. We're currently in active strategic planning. We have a brand new board of directors. They're fantastic, thank goodness. So they're all very business oriented. I have an amazing treasurer who is working with me on our budget this year really early. so that I can have that prepared on time. So if I didn't have my amazing board of directors, I think I would be lost, as well as Marnie, who is our membership manager. She's also been there 22 years. So relying on the experience of all of the people who surround me, I think that's really helpful as a new ED, is getting that support from my board of directors and getting that support from the staff who've been there a long time. So currently we just finished doing our map advertising. We oversold our map, which means we've made some revenue there, which has been very successful. We're working on currently on an LGBTQ plus designation, which means our advertising is changing a little bit, which is fantastic. We're seeing far more diversity, equity, diversity, and inclusion in our advertising, including our map. So I'm very excited. I'm new, but I feel like I've been there for a long time already. We just had an awards gala that was really successful as well. We used the Oscar theme. So if anybody wants to try that, it was awesome. We had Muskoka Party Rentals, who has an Oscar theme backdrop, which was a really big hit for some reason. I don't know why, but everybody loved it so much. So if anybody's interested in renting from anybody, that's where I would get your backdrop from. They have an amazing one. But overall, we've been doing nonstop. I started March 17th, and we've been working together collaboratively with the team on major things that usually the other ED handles. So I feel like it's been a success. So that's great. And I think that's partly because we have a really cohesive team. We do have a FedNor grant, in case, I think it's Jan. We do have a FedNor grant for an intern. His name is Ben. He's our communications specialist. So having somebody do our communications for us has been a game changer for us. We've had a lot of membership engagement, and we charge per e-blast. So like we have e-blasts that go out, and we charge each e-blast, and we bring in a revenue that way as well. So we don't offer free advertising very often, because it depends on your membership tier. So I wanted to share that one of the most exciting revenue increases for us has been changing our membership into tiers and what they look like. And so anybody who's interested in seeing how, it's been very successful. So if you're interested in seeing how we've done it, you can go to our website and you can look at our membership tiers, and you can see, and our membership, we went up 20% in revenue this year just based on how we changed our membership tiers. And none of our members complained. And part of that is because we're regularly communicating membership perks and what our members are getting from us, because it is a membership. So we need to be sure to continue to communicate what those perks are. And we also get a passive income from the group insurance, which has been really helpful. So I don't know if that's helping you at all in sharing where we're getting our passive income from, but we have an income which is quite large from well, it's not really an income, but it is. It pays for our communication specialist. So we're getting a fair good kickback in administration fees from our group insurance. So maybe take a look at getting your members signed up for group insurance through, I think it's Kyle Brewer. I'm not sure if he does that in your area, but hopefully that's been helpful, just telling you where we are getting our revenue from and sort of what's been successful.
Brilliant.
So that's about where we're at right now. We've been I hate to say it, but celebrating every success that we've been making, and we expect another 20% increase by next year.
So let me say a couple of things there. First of all, Amanda is amazing. She and I had what for me was a wonderful conversation a couple of weeks ago. She's a fresh new face in the network, and I was just blown away by some of the things that she's doing. So thank you for being awesome. Jan, I'm not sure if you saw, but Rory posted in the chat his phone number. Rory, quick story. We're actually talking about having some sort of an informal mentorship process put into place for the network, so that we connect somebody to a new manager when they just come on board. And the story came from Brenda in Port Hope. And she said 2 days into her job, she gets a call from Rory Ring saying, hey, welcome to the network. If you need anything, here's my number. That was a really, really important call for Brenda to receive. And you probably don't realize the impact that it had, because she instantly felt connected to all of us. And she said she probably called you 3 times a week for the first couple of months, but it was incredibly valuable. So, you know, Jan, sort of take heart in that, reach out. You know, Leslie sounds like a good person to be friends with. She's nearby, she understands, she's got some lived experience and some ideas. So don't be afraid to connect with somebody that you can sort of develop a relationship with, and just have somebody that you can call to say, what the actual hell can I do with this? You know, so hopefully all of that helps. I'm mindful of the time. It's 5 after. Anything from anybody else that you need to get out or share?
I'm just looking forward to learning from everyone else. I'm new to the group as well. And I've been looking after the Chamber of Madoc now for a couple of years. I took it over when COVID started and made a big change, but doing some more baby steps. And passive income is one of the first things that I did to bring on extra income into a small rural chamber to help us.
Thank you, Sherry. Thanks for being with us today. And Melanie, I saw your face when Amanda was talking about the tiered membership structure in Gravenhurst. So I'm sure you've already looked up their website. So yeah, stuff like that is incredibly helpful. So, all right, thanks everybody. Really appreciate the time and the engagement. It's been a great hour. We'll see you in a month.
Have a great week, folks.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.